What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. Hello, Hannah.
Hello. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you coming back from vacation in the most magical place on earth?
Yes. I was only at the most magical place for a few days, though. So I actually took a Disney cruise this time, which was phenomenal. And you have taken a cruise, right? A
I
Disney
have.
cruise, yeah.
I have, absolutely.
But you haven't taken one on the Wish yet,
I
right?
don't think
So
so, no.
So
No.
we were on the new Wish, and I guess obviously this is a Star Wars podcast. So to keep everything Star Wars, they do have a bar on there called the Hyperspace Lounge.
Oh, wow.
Now, and I want to say, I'm pretty sure it's kind of probably what it felt like to be on the Star Cruiser. You know,
Okay.
it was like a big lounge, and they had a big screen on the wall that looked like you were looking into outer space and things like that. Ships
Yeah.
flying around, so it was a really cool atmosphere. I didn't spend all that much time in there. I just went in there a couple times just to hang out and take pictures. But
Well,
but
yeah, of course.
I will say, oh damn, I didn't bring it over. But I will say the thing of the trip, which is funny because it was great. Yes, the pools and the food and their own island, but there were 4 Star Wars trivias during that 4 day trip that I was on. Okay.
Okay.
So just bear with me on this. So,
No, no, I'm excited. I'm
because
so excited right now.
I was gonna test you a little bit here because I have
Oh,
my
no.
answers.
Oh, no.
So,
Oh, no.
so here's the thing. They had 4. Like they had one on the first day, one on the second day, and 2 on the last day, or 2 on the last day, or something like that. So,
Okay.
but like one was all ages, so like my daughter was able to come.
Okay.
And it was semi. They called it semi tough. It was like middle questions. First round, first time we did it, I think I got 18 out of 20 right. But somebody had claimed, and it was like kind of honor system. Like you wrote down your
Oh,
answers.
okay.
Someone claimed to get 20, which is fine. They won, whatever. That's fine. Then I went to an 18 and up one because it was in a bar.
Okay.
And this was run by a guy that was a huge Star Wars fan, and it was like the advanced level.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I think I got 16 of the 20, but
Okay.
someone again in there claimed that they got 20 out of 20.
Okay, sure.
So
Sure.
yeah,
Good
sure.
for
I was
you,
like,
buddy.
whatever, that's cool, whatever. And honestly, I kind of knew the answers to the other 4, but I got them wrong. Like one of them was, if
All right.
you remember, one of them was in Empire Strikes Back when they're about to go in the asteroid field. C-3PO says the chances of successfully navigating an asteroid field is,
Uh,
what are the
uh,
odds that he
it's
says?
isn't it like 6,000,000 and four
No,
hundred
it's
to
not that
one or
high.
something?
No,
1,000,000 to one?
not even that. Not even a million.
Oh man, like I can hear the line in my head, and then
I know.
I can see it, and then it gets to that point, and it just. Oh,
Yeah,
what is it?
he says it's 3,720 to 1. Now I wrote down 3,760 to 1.
Oh, you are
So
so close.
yeah, so stuff like that. Like I got it
Okay.
wrong, whatever. So then the next one was another all ages one. So my daughter went to that one,
Okay.
and that one was, again, it was no, that one actually was advanced as well. And I got 16 again, but 2 other people got 16, so it was a 3-way tie.
Good for you.
So he brought us up in the front and did a tiebreaker question.
Oh no, what was the tiebreaker question?
Tiebreaker question was, in meters, how long is the Millennium Falcon? Now, and he even told us, because I was like, he knew like I was American, so it's like, not everybody we don't do the metric system here, right?
Yeah, thank you.
So it's about 3 feet for every meter.
Right.
So if you're looking at the Falcon, then how much would you guess, just possibly, that the length of the Falcon is?
Give me a second. Give me a second. I know. I know. Vamping, vamping, vamping. It's about
This is good for our listeners too, if they
30,
want to throw in the answer somewhere.
times 5, 150 times 3. Wait, in meters or in feet?
Meters.
Meters. Okay. So if it's 150, 150 times 5 is 750, 750, 750 divided by 3. I don't have my phone on me. 750. What's 750 divided by 3?
Well, you're doing 750 feet, and it's definitely not that long.
90. I'm going to say 100 meters.
Okay, so that's way high.
Okay.
But so anyway, I wrote down 40 meters. Somebody wrote down 30 meters, and then another person wrote down 54 meters.
Was the Price is Right? You can't go over?
No, it's as close as whoever's closest.
Okay.
So the answer is 34.7 meters.
Where is that? I want to know where that information is.
I don't know, but I lost it by 0.3. So I got second place. Whatever, that's fine. Later that day was the last one. And I'm sitting there, actually, it was like in the middle of the afternoon. It was like 4 o'clock. So I'm thinking, like, I don't know if I'm going to go. I'm kind of just hanging out with the kids. But I'm like, you know what? It's my last chance. I'm going to go do it. And it was in a bar, so I had to go by myself.
Okay.
So I walked in, and this is the one that I wrote down the answers. I kept it. And so I got 19 out of 20 correct.
Did you win?
And the one that I got wrong, the question was, which I kind of kicked myself, but the one I got wrong was, in the Clone Wars, who said, in my book, experience outranks everything?
Oh. I know this.
The Clone Wars.
In my book, experience
outranks everything.
Was it Anakin?
That's what I wrote.
No.
And it's wrong.
No, yep. I feel like that's something Anakin would say. So my next guess then would be either Obi-Wan or Palpatine.
Nope.
Rex? Oh!
Captain Rex.
You want to know the really funny part? The first name that popped in my head was Rex.
Yeah,
I'm not
Rex
lying.
Rex was the second. Yeah, when I wrote it down, I wrote Anakin, and then when he was going through the answers, like going through the questions again to do the answers, as soon as he read that again, I was like, "It's not Anakin, it's Captain Rex," and of course it was. So anyway, but I'll tell you one that was like really difficult that I think everybody got wrong was,
except for you. Yes,
I think this saved me. But there was a multiple choice question about in Return of the Jedi, when our heroes were captured by the Ewoks and they were getting cooked to get eaten. Like it was basically, I can't remember fully what the question was, but it was, who was the chief that made that call? Or not the chief, but who was in charge of serving them as basically dinner? And it was multiple choice. It had A, Wicket, had B, Tebow, had C, Logray, and it had D, Chirpa. So those are the 4 Ewoks that everybody kind of knows about. You know for sure it's not Wicket, obviously.
Well, yeah, it's not Wicket.
Because he's a kid at that point.
Isn't it Tebow?
No, Tebow's Wicket's older brother, so it ain't him. So it comes down to either Chirpa or Logray.
I'm trying to remember C-3PO's lines when he was speaking their language and what name he said.
I'm not sure if he even said a name, but it was whoever was kind of the...
Well, now I feel like Chirpa is too obvious. So I'm going to go with
you
C.
would be right.
Yeah.
because Chief Chirp is Chief Chirpa, so he was the head, so it wasn't him.
No,
it was Logray.
Yep. Okay.
So I don't think I mean you heard the gasp. Everybody was like, "Who the heck's Logray?" And of course, but I wrote down Logray. So
you have the proof. You have the evidence.
I do. So anyway, I got 19 out of 20. One other person got 19, so it was two of us that went up for the tiebreaker.
Okay.
And now the tiebreaker was Peter Mayhew.
Yes.
Played Chewbacca.
Yes.
Obviously in the original trilogy and prequels and some of the sequels. How tall is Peter Mayhew?
He is. I do know this. I know this. He's because I met him in person.
Mm-hmm.
He's 7'2", right?
Okay, nice. So I said is obviously closest one. I said 7'2", and the other guy said 7'6". The answer is 7'3".
So close.
So I won Star Wars trivia.
Congratulations. On Disney property, no less.
On Disney property. And I got a medal that says winner.
Got a medal?
Yeah. I mean, it's in the closet right now, but it's funny because all the other trivias didn't give out medals, and only that one gave out the medal since it was the last one.
And you almost didn't go.
Almost didn't go. Anyway, sorry for taking up 10 minutes of that to explain.
No, I hope everybody played along with that.
Yeah. So I thought it was really good. I thought the questions were really cool, and it's funny because we drove down to Disney this time, so long. It was like 12 hours or so in a car.
Yes.
So we did trivia, like we did Disney trivia in the car. We did Star Wars trivia, and my daughters brought up a bunch of hard Star Wars questions, and I gotta say, none of those on there were there at the trivias. So it's like there were fresh questions. I mean, to be honest, the 12 to 15 of them were like, if you were really a Star Wars fan, you knew. Most people had like 10 questions right. Most people. But there was about 10 or so, 10 to 5 to 10 that were really tough, that you really had to know. So anyway.
No, that's really cool. It kind of reminds me when Disney used to do Star Wars weekends. Whenever they brought in Warwick Davis, he hosted a trivia contest.
Nice.
And I always made it to the second tier because after that, the last question of the second tier always knocked out a bunch of people because it was arguably the hardest question that they would ever ask.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember the questions because that was over a decade ago.
Yeah.
But I remember the questions being like, I put them to the equivalent of this trivia game that Zach, my husband, has for the Sorcerer's Stone with Harry Potter. What is the plant that's in the back corner of the scene when Dumbledore tells Harry XYZ? And you're like, what?
Yeah.
And yet these people get the answer to that question. Like, that was the equivalency of those questions. But it was,
And I will say, I'll bring it up too, because honestly, it did spark an idea in my head that would be pretty neat for us to maybe host like a trivia with our patrons, maybe,
Oh, that would be fun.
And, give out some prizes and stuff like that. So,
we should do that.
We should do that. And thanks, of course, to our patrons that support us. And I got to say, we got to do a welcome message again because we got a new patron.
A new one?
We got a new one, and she is known around because she does a lot of comments for us on YouTube as well as the Mandalore podcast. But she goes by Kimora Jade. Her name's Amanda. Hopefully you're okay with me saying that. But thank you, Amanda and Kimora Jade, for joining us on Patreon, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You've been a supporter of ours, and now you're handing over some hard-earned dollars. So thank you. We will not let you down. And I think like I said, I think that kind of sparked an idea of maybe getting some more engagement with our patrons now, and maybe doing some contests like that, some trivia, and having some fun and giving out some stuff. So I think I might try to put that together. I think that would be pretty cool.
That would be awesome. I love that idea.
Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, maybe other people are doing it. I just don't know, but I just don't see that happening right now. And I think that I just thought it was a really cool thing because, again, sitting in that bar. I mean, it was good. That last one I did, there was a good 30 to 40 people in there, and I mean, just all, as you can tell, just all pure Star Wars fans. And that's what it's about, man. Getting together and celebrating and geeking out with trivia questions that no one knows. So it's pretty fun stuff.
Absolutely. We should Google what is the toughest Star Wars trivia and just see if it's actually tough or not for an event like that.
Well, I was on the Mandalore this week and talking about it, and Martin was saying how, and I think he's right. You remember the old Trivia Pursuit Star Wars?
Yes.
Like those questions on there,
those are hard.
I don't know. I don't know how anybody knows that stuff. Some of that
actually,
stuff.
you know what? When my parents come down to see us, I'll ask them to bring the game because I have it.
Yeah, I have it too. I have it in my closet too. So.
Oh man, no, we got to do those because those were ridiculous. I'm sorry,
ridiculous.
They were ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, totally ridiculous. But it is interesting to pull it out now and kind of, because that was years ago. So it'd be interesting to pull it out and kind of see what the questions are now and see if, I mean, there's nothing new in there from at least I don't know if there's a new version of it. Maybe there's a new version of it, but
maybe.
Yeah, that'd be cool to pull from. So again, thank you. That's our big thank you to our patrons and our new patron. Thanks for joining. Another thing too I wanted to do real quick, because we don't really have any news. We're going to dive right into the Acolyte here in a second. But I thought about it'd be better now, I think, Hannah. I want to go ahead and do comments from our previous episode now.
Oh, good call.
You know what I'm saying? So we don't really need to worry about talking about previous stuff after we talk about the new stuff. So
no, great call. Great call.
So and of course we haven't, we missed last week's episode because I was out. So
yep, and I was the guest host on the Mandalore podcast.
Mandalore, that's right. Good job on that. I did listen to that on the drive, so good job.
Thank you. Even though I messed up my Star Wars knowledge, yay.
What do you mean?
Like I was saying, so and so thought this, and then later I was like, no, it wasn't so and so. It was a long day.
That's fine.
It's been a long week already.
Yeah, right. I know you're in the middle of production right now, so.
All right.
So yeah, I just wanted to go through some of these comments from our last episode, which was about episode 3, which was the flashback episode. I think it was called Destiny, right?
I think so.
Thrawn Addict says, looking forward to Star Wars Outlaws, because we talked about that on that episode. Watching the gameplay, I really like the fact that there's no loading screen when flying in space.
Good
and then
call.
going to land on a planet, and you can see yourself entering the atmosphere. Little details like that impress me. I must say I'm one of those guys with a family and a job, so 60 hours sounds pretty good to me. Just don't have the time like I used to, so a game with a similar runtime as Jedi Survivor, but with more open world to explore and with side missions is perfect. I don't think open world means endless and you can never finish it. I think it's just a free roam world you can always explore after you are done with the main storyline and side missions.
Okay.
I played and completely pretty much all of Starfield quite quickly, and the game definitely has an end in total with all missions, etc. But there are hundreds of planets with different creatures on them, but most planets don't have missions or any real use. You just kind of explore. I feel Outlaws will be similar with lots of planets to go to, but many of them won't have anything particularly important to do on them.
Okay.
And then someone commented after that, I just hope that
I do want to make a quick comment on that. The loading screens, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Seeing no loading screens is huge. I thought it was a big deal in Mass Effect. In order to do loading screens, when people go into elevators, they actually had pockets of conversations saved up. So if something was taking longer to
Oh,
load in an elevator, there would be a conversation that would just naturally happen.
interesting.
So
Okay.
it was a great way to help kind of pass the time for a loading
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah. That's
So
fun.
I just wanted
That's
to say,
interesting.
like, that was like, I didn't even notice that, and that's an excellent point to make.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's very impressive for the game to be able to do that too. I think
Yes.
that just adds to the realism of it, that you're just able to get in and fly off and go like you normally would. Someone did comment after Thrawn and say, I just hope that there's a good amount of customization, letting people add
Mm,
mods to the game. So that would be, yeah. You know,
that's
the
cool.
thing about it is I don't know. I guess it's not. I guess it's not going to be a part of it. But I know a lot of people. I have seen a lot of people mention how to be truly open world, that you need to be able to create a custom character. And the thing about it is, I haven't seen them say that you can't in this game, but I haven't also seen them that you could.
So that's one question I do have, is that with her, yes, there's a singular female lead in this game. That's pretty obvious.
Right.
But is it some, and to be fair, with Fallout, you can change their physical appearance. You can decide if you're playing a man or a woman. But when you play the game in Fallout, you get to choose what you specialize in. In Skyrim, while in Skyrim it's truly customizable what your character is and who your character is, you get to choose what they're proficient in. You get to choose, are they somebody who's magical? Like, do they do magic? Or are they up in your face fighter? Or are they a ranged fighter? So maybe those are some of the customizations you can pick with this lead. So
Mm-hmm.
you can
Mm-hmm.
decide, oh, she's great with a weapon, well, with like a gun, or no, she's better with a vibroblade or even a lightsaber that she found on the black market. So yeah, that is an interesting thing to bring up. So maybe it's customizable to a point, but you can't like change the physical appearance of the character.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That could be it. Let's see. Then of course our friend Cyber Ren Martin Donison says, just throwing in my 2 cents. After a lifetime of gaming experiences, RPG role playing games have been my main go to when I have gaming time. First off, I'm with you on all your feelings. As Yoda would say, open world, this game is not. To truly be free, one must create oneself. So right there, Outlaws is not
Mm,
open world because they've already taken away the one key aspect that makes a game open, the ability to create a character that you want to inhabit for X amount of hours. Forcing all of us to play the exact same character and go through the same linear story is not open at all. Neither is Assassin's Creed or any of those style games, Tomb Raider, Uncharted, Jedi Survivor. And as you said, it's Ubisoft. So their style of games they make in those ones I just mentioned, third person action adventure, not open world. A good example of open world that I have played for years is Guild Wars 2. You get to create a character and then run out into the massive world and adventure around and do whatever you want. There's countless missions, side quests, stories to follow. Yes, there's a main story to follow if you want. That will take you to an endpoint, but you don't have to. You can spend days, weeks, never doing anything in the story and just wander around exploring and picking up these little quests that are everywhere. There is no time limit. That's an open as it gets. Technology has limits, and the idea of a truly open and endless game is impossible. So I'm with you that I'll still play it. I'm being a little completionist. I'll do as much as I, and being a completionist, I'll do as much as I can to just get to see the whole game they created. But a 50-hour story and you're done does not warrant the $100 price tag for this game. I also saw that they plan on doing purchasable download content, so it's another money grab, as all games are these days. Pay full price for a partial completed game, then pay more for extra missions. That pissed me off too. Oh well, we'll see it. We'll see you in the galaxy eventually.
I mean,
So
there is a point there. The fact that you might have to buy extra DLCs is,
yeah,
but that does
But
lead
that's
you
every
to
game these
believe.
days. That
Yeah,
is
it
every
is
game
every
these
game, which
days.
stinks. But maybe that means mods will be possible because
Yeah,
they're
I do
possible
think.
with
Yeah,
Skyrim.
yeah, you're right. I think so too. Yeah. Okay, let's see. What else? I think there were some, possibly some. Let's see. Okay, so so reactions to your or comments to your reaction to on Patreon here.
Oh man, okay, that puts me on the
Brandon
spot.
says, yeah, Brandon says, what if the master is that female Sabrak, which is Mother Coral?
Yeah.
She was not keen that the Jedi were there, and I don't remember seeing a body. Thrawn says, I really enjoyed this episode and the backstory. The Witch Coven was very interesting, and looking forward to finding out more of what happened, because it's clear that the fire didn't cause all the witches to die. I like seeing other groups of Force users that are not Jedi. I did find it quite funny that the Jedi said it's Republic law that the witches can't train children, but then Jedi pretty much do the same. Only thing I didn't particularly like was the kids' acting. I thought that they could have been stronger. Overall, though, the show keeps improving with each episode and exciting for more to come. So that's interesting, because that is a thing about I've seen, is that about the children thing, and I think it's interesting, because I think that the law is only there to, suss out children so that they are only basically protected by the Jedi in a sense, right? So,
Right. I think there are good intentions behind it,
yeah,
but it
totally.
is
Yeah.
very hypocritical.
Well, but the thing about it is, I think what I mean by that too is that the Jedi, they don't necessarily, I guess there's a, I mean, if you think about it, they're kind of like a police force, right? I mean, they're an organization that trains Jedi. They happen to believe you have to train children because they have less emotion that could possibly, wreck their training or cause them to. And they can't just go and that's the thing too, as I've read, the Jedi can't go in there and just take children. They don't do
Right.
that. They have to get permission. And so, but at the time, most of the time when this is happening is to give your kids up to be a Jedi is kind of an honor, right?
Yeah.
Now, what I think the law is saying, or what the Republic's saying, is that you just can't train just because you want to train. Like, there's no organization to it. And especially with this coven of witches, we got to remember, like, they even talk about how they are banned. Like, they're like, no one, whatever they're doing, they're not doing anything that's acceptable in society.
Right.
So that right there is a red flag anyway, right? And the fact that they're training children, then obviously that's a big no-no. And I think that's why the Jedi were there. Now, of course, we'll find out what happened, and if it was the cause of the Jedi, but
It still feels icky. Still feels
well,
icky.
yeah. Brandon says, I would bet it's the Lady Sabrak. She really hated the Jedi, and May would be the best Padawan because of her anger and same ideals. Plus, if the Sabrak survived but not burnt, it would explain the mask. So, but we'll get to that, because we kind of know the answer to that now.
Yes,
Brandon said,
do.
I also noticed that the moons on Osha and May's homeworlds look very similar to the O and Acolyte, even the colors. Yes, agree with that. And then one of our previous newest patrons from a couple weeks ago, Draconius Rex, says, I share your sentiments, Hannah. Things are really heating up now. The plot thickens. More mysteries arise. I don't think the Jedi massacred the Brendog witches. I think there is an unseen party involved. I guess we shall find out soon. Anyway, glad to be here on here. Nice to know that there is a Star Wars podcast here in Lextown. So Draconius Rex is in Lex. I didn't know that. So
You're
great. Maybe
Lexington?
Yes, that's awesome. And he says, have a safe trip, David. Thank you. I had a great, safe trip. So, yeah. So he's here in town. So he's on our time zone. So this is great.
Okay.
Let's see, and then we'll get to these. These are the reactions from episode 4 and 5. So anyway,
All right.
so there we go. Some comments there through. Okay, we gotta just dive into it.
Might as well.
Yeah, Acolyte. So briefly though, since we didn't, I feel like we should just go ahead and combine episodes 4 and 5 because it's, they're titled Day and Night. Obviously, that they're basically a continuation. So it's, to me, it feels like it's one big episode in a way.
I was about to say you might as well just lump it into one episode.
Yeah. Okay. Before I turn it over to you, I'll just say that I think, going into episode 4 out of 3, because 3 was kind of obviously a separation from the timeline a little bit. We got our flashback and we got kind of the setup of possibly what happened. We knew we were going to come back and figure out what happened, what's going to happen with Kanaka, and there's obviously there was a big feeling that there was something bad was going to happen. There was things in the trailer that hinted at this is where the Jedi ignite all their sabers and stuff like that. So, but episode 4 was a little more about setup. It was a lot of just moving to that point, a little suspense here, suspense there, and push there, push there. But we got what we got when episode 5 came, and it first off, what I wanted to say before you kind of give your review, Hannah, is I think, I do want to just really quick mention about the kind of somewhat the divide that's happening, I feel like, with this series. Like, there's a lot of bad stuff going on at least on social, between
Oh my gosh,
Star Wars fans right now, and it's very unfortunate. And I just wanted to say on here, because what I've seen is just a lot of, just a lot of people complaining about why they don't like this series. And of course, it has to do with a lot of things that just aren't related to really the filmmaking part of it, but there are, and of course there are some people that surely definitely don't like the writing or don't like the acting. Totally, you have your subjective opinion on that. No big deal. Understand. But then there's a lot of it that just, goes a different level. And I just want to say, and I will not dive into this more, and I don't want to do this at all anymore. But just, I feel like I've seen a lot of podcasters and creators that, just do a really bad job of saying one thing and then doing what they say that they are fighting against. And I think that sucks too. And I just want to make sure that anybody listening or watching us, like, that's not us. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to offer our love for Star Wars first and foremost. And then we're just going to offer our opinions on what we see as filmmakers and content creators. And I've always said, I think the uniqueness of the show, for one, when me and Casey was doing it, but now of course with Hannah continuing it, it's like, we're in this business. We know we make TV shows, we make movies, we make content for clients. So I feel like we've always, had a unique viewpoint of this content, on top of the fact that we're fans of it, like major fans of it, right? So yes, you're probably going to get, I feel like you're probably going to get unique perspectives from us, for one. But, if we don't like something, we're definitely going to say it, and we're going to say why. But you're never going to hear us talk about any kind of hate. You're not going to talk.
Mhm.
We're not going to just go anywhere near that. And I just want to make sure people understand. And hopefully, I know people have been with us for a long time on the show, which I greatly appreciate. And I know you haven't heard anything like that, but I want to just assure people that have just come to us, especially our patrons, that like this is a safe place, and we love Star Wars fans, we love all fans, and it's like let's just we can disagree on things, but it's like it's never about anything personal. It's never about anything specific. It's always going to be, to us in a way, I feel like, Hannah, it's always going to be about the content itself, the filmmaking process, and I'm always going to respect a creator. I'm always going to respect a creator, no matter if I agree with Leslie Heelan's direction or not. Like, I respect her because she wouldn't be in this position if she didn't know what she was doing. And liking what she does is all subjective anyway. So liking where Star Wars is going is subjective. And it's like, you can like where it's going, you can not like where it's going, but either way, there's a story there. And let's just focus on what that story is and what that means to us. Anyway, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but it's like, I feel like I had to say something like that.
I appreciate you saying that, because I have been seeing that a lot. And I think the difference is that something that you and I are very good at is not only saying this is why it doesn't work for me, like we're very good at saying that, is that a lot of times when people, and this is what I've been seeing all over social media regarding people who are quote unquote tearing the Acolyte apart, is it's very much of the mindset and attitude of, if you don't agree with me, then you're stupid.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's very much like, you're wrong. This is the
Yes.
right opinion. And the beautiful thing about an opinion is that everybody has one.
Yeah.
Opinions are like casseroles. Everybody has them. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's opinion is different. And it's different with us having a civil conversation that, of course, could get heated, but it's not going to be like, you're wrong in thinking this and blah,
Yeah.
blah,
Totally.
blah.
Totally.
It's never targeted like that.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like we joke all the time about how I think Dave is wrong about thinking that Rogue One is a great movie, and I'm right. Like, we joke about that. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I do respect Rogue One. I do think there are parts of the film that are fantastic, and I think it was well made. Like,
Yeah.
I still respect the art. Like you were saying, we respect the art, because
Of
a lot of
course.
blood, sweat, and tears went into that.
Of
And you look
course.
at the credits, everybody in those credits gave up a good chunk of their life
Yeah.
and
Years.
years, and they gave up time with their families, they gave up vacations, they gave up birthdays, they gave up so much for that project.
100%. Yep.
and as you said, we have a unique point of view of that because we're in that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't understand that, and that's
No.
okay that you don't understand it, that you're not a part of it. Like, good for you, that's fine. But at the end of the day, even if you don't like something, you still have to respect the fact that it is art in
Yeah.
one way or another.
Yeah. 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 No. Well said. Well said. And I think, like I said, I don't want to go too far into it because,
Right.
but it's like, just know that we're here to, just talk about Star Wars. And, like you said, that's huge. Opinions are huge, because what I love about opinions personally is that, if you hear somebody's opinions, other opinions, you could actually agree with them on,
Mm-hmm.
even if it contradicts yourself, and it's like, it changes your opinion on things. Like, oh, you know what? I didn't think of it that way. That's actually makes more sense, and I want to hear those things. That's why I love getting comments from our listeners and stuff like that, and hearing what they have to say about it, because it's like, wait a minute, that's actually a great point. I didn't even think about it that way, and that might not be what I'm thinking. So that's where it becomes healthy, and that's where it becomes, a community where you can express those opinions and be safe about it and feel good about it, and then change, possibly change your own opinion, or or add to the theories that we may never have thought about. So it's all good that way.
If I said it once, I said it a million times. It's the art of conversation, and it's an art that's unfortunately lost to time.
Yes. Yes.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. So on that note, we're going to talk about episode 5 now. What, Hannah, was your feelings about it?
So for 4 and 5, for four for me felt like it was. I'll just go through the emotions. 4 felt like it was dragging a little bit
Yeah.
until we had May walk in on Kalnaka. That's when I was like, oh, what's going on? Like that's when everything just, and I'm like, how do you end an episode on that note?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is it? And then when 5 came on and we get Osha like hearing the sabers, I'm like, oh no, are we not gonna get the fight? We're not gonna get the fights. And then we got a bunch of fights. So I was like,
Yes.
okay, I'm better. So for me, 4 felt like it slowed the pace down a bit, but when you, and I'm actually kind of glad we're talking about 4 and 5 together,
Mm-hmm.
because the reason why 4 felt lagging was they had to set so much up for 5.
Right.
So it went hand in hand. Man, they were right when they said if you thought this show was about something, you're wrong. Whoa. Like so many twists and turns in 5. And also like I know we're gonna deep dive into a couple of things, but some of the things that really stood out to me. One, you called it.
Well,
You called who was her
yes.
master, or who her trainer was. I find it very interesting about his point of view of what the Sith is, and the fact that he doesn't even call himself Sith. He's just like, you would call me Sith.
Right.
That wasn't like, as I said, I know we're probably going to deep dive into a
Yeah.
couple of these, so
Yeah.
I'm just kind of giving a couple of highlights of things that stood out to me. I still do believe that this is a story about how Master Soul became Darth Plagueis.
Okay.
I still
Yep.
believe that because we see him fight in anger.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh. And then you have Osha and May doing the twist at the end with the flip flop.
Right.
And I feel like Master Soul would have known, but I guess his defense, like I don't know, that kind of confuses me. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I have a feeling the Master now knows, like thinks May or thinks Osha is Osha, not May, because he's like, huh, well, this is an interesting change.
Yeah.
And then we got amazing saber fighting. And
Mm-hmm.
also little Jackie,
Mm-hmm.
hoo, hoo,
I
hoo,
know. I know.
powerful. Um, and then what was the other master? What was the other thing? Other thing. Oh, so I think there's a huge possibility that what we saw in episode 3, a good chunk of it never really happened. I wonder if we're going to get a new episode of what actually happened, because it's established Master Soul's very good about memory and playing with the mind.
Oh. Okay.
So I think we're gonna get potentially a new episode 3, but it's a completely different story as to what, like, it's gonna be from May's point of view. We got Osha's point of view, but then we're gonna get May. I also find it interesting that Osha wanted to stay and fight, but May wanted to run away, and when they were little girls, it was vice versa.
Right.
So, as I said, I peppered there a lot of different things that stood out to me. The
Mm-hmm.
fighting was spectacular. That
Yeah.
was awesome.
Fantastic. No. Yeah. Top
But
level.
also, can we talk about what the heck is the metal that the master was using, or the stranger, I guess, is what was it? Because it would cause the sabers to not work.
Right. Yeah. So that's a Legends thing that she brought in. It's a rare metal called cortosis, and it's not as strong as Beskar, but apparently in Legends stories, what it does is when it comes in contact with a lightsaber blade, it shorts it out
Whew.
temporarily.
That is so beneficial, man.
Huge, right?
Whoa.
Huge. And I didn't know what it was. I read about it afterwards. So I
Yeah,
didn't
I didn't
know.
know what it was either. I was like, what the heck? Because at first I'm
Yes.
like, oh, it's Beskar. Like,
Yeah.
but then all of a sudden the saber didn't work. I was like, what?
Well, I thought when I was first watching, I thought that he had like cut their sabers,
I
and
thought that too. And then they went back to life
they
and I
went
was
back
like,
on. I'm like, oh, yeah. So
so
that's
they,
that's yeah. So it temporarily shorts out the blades. So very smart. No, because it's very cool. His head button, and he had the gauntlet on his arm made of it.
very
So
cool. Yeah,
yeah,
so
and they
what were
are
your
and they
thoughts?
are tagging him as the stranger.
Yeah,
That's
in
right
the
now.
closed captions, that's what he's known as is a stranger.
Yes. Well, and Star Wars just put out a poster of him, and it's the stranger.
Ah,
So,
okay.
which is weird. They're not calling him the Sith.
I know that's also why I found his comment about you would call me Sith makes me think. But then the way he was talking, I'm like, he doesn't sound like a Sith.
I know it. I know it.
It's
It's
too chaotic,
yeah.
way too chaotic. The Sith don't just go into chaos; they actually do have order. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was interesting. So yeah, what were your thoughts?
Um, I wanted to see. Yeah, here it is because I wanted to read. So you know how they've been doing the posters? They've been showing the character poster, then they have like a little description next to it, and it
Yeah,
says the stranger with a specialized cortosis gauntlet and a mask permanently twisted into a frightened grin. The stranger with a red bladed lightsaber appears as if out of thin air. While some may call him a Sith, little is known of this dark side user who has been training May Anasea in secret, hiding his face from his pupil. When needed, he has adopted the alias Khmer, acting as a shiftless drifter and a supplier with seemingly no cares at all among other than his own amusements. So again, while some may call him a Sith, little is known of this dark side user.
he's not a Sith.
I don't think he is either.
Maybe he came across Sith holocrons and then kind of formed his own code based off of that.
Well, I think the other theory that popped up that I've seen that I briefly thought about when I was watching him. I mean, he very much, if you remember, he very much looks like Ren.
I was actually just about to say, did he found the Knights of Ren?
So that is a kind of a theory that's rolling around out there. Is this the origins of the Knights of Ren?
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, because they're not Sith, but they're dark side, obviously, users. You know.
We were talking about trivia earlier, and there's this one I watched Dropout on YouTube, and they do a show called Actually, where the whole purpose of the show is you have your host who reads a fact because the whole thing about the thing is there are two things nerds love. They love knowing things and they love correcting people.
Yeah.
So the whole point of the game is the host reads a statement, and once they get to the point of the statement that's incorrect, you buzz in and you go, actually, and then you have to fix the statement. And so he read a statement saying, Kylo Ren, a Sith apprentice, blah blah blah. And I'm like sitting watching this, I'm like, actually, he's a Knight of Ren, he's not a Sith apprentice. It
Yeah.
took them so long to get to that point. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're like, what's wrong with that statement? And it's like, he's not a Sith apprentice. He's a Knight of Ren.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
They
that
never
was fun.
really, they never really ever established Sith in the sequel trilogy, besides until Palpatine comes back.
Yeah, that's the only time. Because even then with Snoke, it was kind of like, is
Yeah.
Snoke Sith? I don't
Yeah.
know if
Not
he,
really.
like,
I mean, he had power, dark side power, but you have to train under the Sith, tutelage of the holocron and of the master and things
yeah.
like that, and and Snoke wasn't part of that.
Uh-uh.
He was never. Plus again, the rule of two. If you truly followed it, like if you were a Sith, you were a Darth. So if he never has the Darth, if this guy never has a Darth name, but my theory is too, though. My theory is too that I still think he's possible that he is being trained by a Sith.
Yes.
That he is the apprentice, or he's a pupil that now is trying to get a pupil to kill the master, kind of thing, right? So that I can see as a possibility. So anyway, but my overall feelings of this thing are, look, I've been, and I think we've been both vocal about it over the first 3 episodes, that, in all honesty, this series is good. It hasn't met my expectations. I had very high expectations going into this thing, and maybe I had too high. But I was excited about this new era. I was excited about these new characters, and I will say that the one thing I'm a little surprised about right now is even through 5 episodes, like up until this 5th episode now, I feel like this show has been more about the Jedi than the Sith or the Acolyte.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be a show about how the Sith infiltrate the Jedi. Like this right now, very much is because there are only 8 episodes, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So this is very much feeling this is meant to set up for a second season.
I think so too.
And my concern is with so many negative reviews out there, they're not going to continue it.
Yeah,
we're not going to get the end of the story, which is so disappointing because, like, and also, of course, yes, there are people out there who love this. I see them on social media, but unfortunately, they get drowned out.
They do.
And so I am concerned at this point that we're going to get to the end of the season and then they're not going to continue it. And then we have this incomplete story.
Yeah. In the end, hopefully it's all about the numbers, the subscriber numbers, not necessarily the comments,
Yes, I really hope so too.
Yeah. But I think the big thing about this is that even though it has been more Jedi centric, I mean, obviously that's my jam anyway. Like I want it to be more about the Jedi, and I'm a little concerned about learning whether or not the Jedi are going to be making like some big mistakes in this, which it seems like it's possible, but
they already did, as far as we're aware. They made a huge mistake.
Well, we don't really. What do we know? We don't know that yet.
Well, there are a lot of things that point to it. The fact that, trigger warning, somebody decided to take their own life.
Yes.
Like, that's huge. And the fact that they were expecting Nay to come back for them. And you have Kalnaka, who's living in the middle of nowhere, isolated.
Yes. But, that's a good point, too, because the thing about it is the thing that, like, in Kalnaka's place, you saw the symbols that were all over his room, right? He had drawings of these yin and yang, and then the marking that's on May's thing. So one of my theories, though, is that whatever happened, possibly, like they weren't under control. Because you saw how she controlled Torben while as a Padawan there, basically succumbed. And in this episode, Osha even says, like, Yord's like, he gets in your head, and she's like, my mother used to do that. So I'm starting to piece together that whatever the possibility that the Jedi did, it actually wasn't them. Like, it was them, but it wasn't them.
Then why would they be riddled with such guilt?
Because they know inside their mind, they know that they did those things, but they didn't have necessary control over. Because when someone draws symbols all over their walls, that's like paranoia almost. Like there's something wrong with your mind.
I almost saw it like a journal. like his way of doing a diary. That's kind of how I viewed that.
Well, I just saw it as somebody that just sees these symbols in their heads all the times, and they just draw what they have, right?
Right.
And it's like, so that was a little telling to me. And again, Torben going into this self meditation for 10 years, it's like, yes, but then you have Soul who's kind of moving on from it. So somehow, and even again, it's like the stranger says to him, like, have you embraced your darkness? It's like, I don't know. The part of me is like, there's this darkness that infiltrated them somehow, possibly from the witches.
I'm just dying to know.
Or I like this theory that Brandon, I think, brought up. It was like, maybe there's another party that we're not,
right.
We don't know about. Maybe the party is the Sith, that's in there.
Maybe Darth Plagueis, Basil, because he disappeared. He disappeared a lot.
He's always looking for something.
You're looking for trouble, looking for ways to bring the Sith into the Jedi. It's Basil.
Yeah. I think by far, though, this episode, ramped up back at my expectations.
It totally did. 4 and 5 together.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, and I know a lot of fans are out there saying, like, this is by far the best episode. And yes, the fighting was incredible.
Oh.
Like you said, dang. I think the fighting was Saul against the stranger, and then you had Jackie fighting May was incredible. The hand-to-hand combat in this was incredible.
You know what I actually really do appreciate about that fighting is that the way that you see Jedi fight, maybe not with Anakin and Obi-Wan's fight, but in general in the prequels, they're like, oh yeah, I could do this all day. Like, it's very... Yeah. While in this episode, it's like, no, this is draining because you are using the Force as you fight. This is draining. Yes. And I appreciated that so much, to see them out of breath, to see them like bent over and, oh my gosh, I'm so tired to get up, but I'm getting up anyway. Let's keep going. Like, it shows how draining it is to use the Force in a fight.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I think that was incredible to isolate and show and just... that's the thing, is that these guys have never fought anyone like this before. Mm-mm. Like, they haven't seen anybody like this.
And it's on both ends. It's not like the Sith were. It's not like the stranger was like, yeah, I could go all day. He was also winded.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, I got to get out of here. This is too much for me.
And he was basically defeated.
Yes. And then you see like Darth Vader and you're like, oh, he could go all day. Like, that's not meant as a slant towards Vader or anything like that, because obviously, like, he's really, really powerful on the dark side of the Force. But it made me appreciate Jedi fighting even more.
Agreed.
And made it more realistic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. So I don't know right now. I'm still leaning more towards the stranger actually being, if he's not a full Sith, he's working towards being a Sith. Like, he's being trained. I still think he's being trained by somebody else.
Maybe this is when we'll see Keanu Reeves be in a hologram as Darth Revan.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that would be incredible.
You remember when that rumor was flying around?
Oh, yeah. It's still kind of flying around a little bit.
I would die.
I agree with you on also with the... Well, all the deaths that... I mean, that's what I'm surprised the most about, was all the deaths, to be honest. Like, somebody put it on Twitter before the episode, and they put the picture of all 8 Jedi, and they said, who stays, and they had an X on like all the ones that were going to die, and of course they had 3, the main 3, Saul, Yord, and Jackie, not dying, surviving.
Wow.
And then I saw it afterwards, and they're like, oh, missed these 2 or whatever. I mean, to think going into it that Saul was going to be the only survivor, like, I am floored by that. But I tell you what, as a filmmaker, that takes a lot of guts. And I love that, because that means none of these characters' fates are predetermined. Like
Nobody's safe.
nobody is safe, and that's what I love about this, because in
It's very
all those
good.
other shows, like Andor, we know Andor is never gonna die,
Yeah.
right?
Because he has
Obi-Wan,
to die. He still has to die.
yeah. In Obi-Wan, we know Obi-Wan and Leia are never gonna die, no matter what situation you put them in. Here, no one is safe, and I love it. I think you
I
said something like, did you say something like, or someone told me like this is kind of like a Game of Thrones
I
style?
just said that. I was like, this is very Game of Thrones.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's nuts. And I think that I really appreciate that because it makes me go, oh, and honestly, it got to the point when Master Soul said, trust me, I'll tell you all about it. I was like, up, he's dead.
Yeah, true.
That was
Sure.
my literal thought. It's like, oh, he's
Yep.
about to die.
I actually really thought, I really did think that last burst by Saul against the stranger, I thought he was going to kill him.
I genuinely thought he was going to kill him too. And
I thought
I was like,
stranger. I was like, oh my god,
this
he's gonna go, and then we're gonna have to figure out who the actual baddie is.
Yep, and it's also going to be that's his because I still believe that he's going to be Darth Plagueis in the end. I'm like, well, that's our first step to the dark side. Well, not the first step, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
another
yeah,
step, and he could explain it away and be like, well, he was going to kill everybody.
yeah,
Like, no, I thought he was going to kill him. I genuinely was like, well, this guy's dead.
yeah. I remember. I remember I was on board with you on that too about Saul being, and I think that's still a very high possibility that that he's the one that turns. But I will say that regardless of how well I thought this episode went and how awesome the fighting was, I was actually I didn't know what to make of the move that May did at the end.
I'm very confused about that. I don't know if that's her trying to get alone with Soul so she can finish her mission.
Right. So do you think
Like,
she thinks she's trying to escape, or she's trying to fulfill her mission?
I think she's trying to escape.
Okay.
I think at this point she is trying to escape, but I don't know what she's trying to escape to.
Right.
Because that's a
Yeah.
very interesting choice
Mm-hmm.
to pretend to be OSHA. And I assume she's going to say, oh, teach me again.
Really?
You know,
Yeah.
like
I don't know if they're going to get that far, because I think
I don't know either.
Basil at the end could sense like this
Something's
isn't
off.
the same person.
Well, also it could be he thinks it is a safe person because she's wearing the same clothes
Yeah. Well,
and they're sent there.
there's
I
some
don't
there, but yeah.
I don't know. I am very like I'm confused but in a good way.
Yeah. No, I'm intrigued for sure.
Intrigued, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued. I just don't. I'm not sure what the move is there, because especially leaving, like you said, leaving OSHA there for the stranger. It's like he obviously knows it's OSHA.
Obviously,
And
especially with his last few words, I'm like, oh, he knows this is
yeah,
OSHA, which is also probably why he didn't kill her. Because he's like, well, she'll be my new apprentice. I'll open her
well,
mind.
yeah,
I'll
because
tell her what
he's
they
May
did.
as a failure, so he's going to try to get OSHA, which could be the pop. I mean, could be that this is where we could be going, was that OSHA becomes bad and
And maybe becomes good.
it may becomes good, possibly. Yeah. I think it all comes down to this whole thing is going to come down to what really happened on Brendock.
That it's all going to come down to that.
Yeah.
And I don't know when we're going to get that episode. That might not be until episode 8.
I don't know. I think
They might
I think
end
it's
it on
possible May on this ship going back. I think she may get. That's what she's maybe trying to do, is get Saul to confess what happened.
What's the name of the next 3 episodes?
I don't know, actually. I don't know if that's
Do we know?
I don't know if that's ever been revealed or not, but we can look that up right now and see. Usually they have them on IMDb,
Yeah.
and I do not see names for them. On
No.
there,
Okay.
so we do not. But anyway, I think overall, I think this series is slowly getting better for me, and
I would agree.
this was a big jump higher in my ratings. I thought this again. I think just the cinematography, the fighting style, the way the characters acted. And I mean, they're Manny Jacinto, who's playing the stranger, phenomenal.
Oh my gosh.
Daphne Keene playing Jackie was great. Yes, I do see flaws a little bit in the May and Osha's performances. That's fine. I get it. I get people, but I don't really have any issues with it.
They're children actors. Give them a break. They're children.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about the older, like Amanda.
But I think at the end of the day, even if you say like I like this, I don't like this, you have to agree it's art. Like it's
Well, totally, and I will say that I will say what the hard part about it is I can definitely tell that they're two different characters. Like she's playing both characters.
She is,
and that's
that
hard.
So hard to do.
It's very hard to do. So
yeah, we did that with a movie, didn't we? We had an actor play two roles, and that was
Drew Barrymore.
Yep, Drew Barrymore. She played two different roles, and that was who.
Yeah, it's tough acting against herself. But that was. But other than that, I think all that aside, it's definitely this definitely was the best episode so far in my opinion.
Agreed.
And a lot of good acting came out of this, and a lot of, again, surprising losses. Like, now, if you remember, which is funny, I brought this up with Martin. I brought up the very first cast list that they sent out when they revealed the cast, right? Did you hear this?
But say it anyway.
But they revealed nine cast members at first. It was a box of three by three. And the top three, which are obviously the top billed, were Amanda, Lee John Jay, and Manny Jacinto. So it's like, okay, well, wait a minute, that makes sense because they're the only three alive. The rest are dead. And the next level of people were, it was Jodie Turner Smith, I think her name is, that played Mother Isaiah, who's apparently dead. You had Daphne Keene, who is dead, and you had I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up again, but in the bottom one was Carrie Ann Moss. Here it is right here. No, that's not the whole one. Shoot.
Where is it?
Here it is right here. I got it right here.
All right, I got it.
Daphne Keene. Oh, and you had Rebecca Henderson on the second line, which is Vernestra. So she's the only one that's technically alive still. Because the bottom is Charlie Barnett and Dean Charles Chapman, who plays Torben, and then Carrie Ann Moss. Yep. All three of those guys are dead now. So, so on this, I mean, the top three are alive still, and then you have Rebecca Henderson who plays. So it's like, and then you had Giannis Sonotomo, who wasn't announced yet at this time, but he's dead.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. It's just crazy that no one survives. So I really think, which is pretty interesting about this going forward, is that I think it really is going to be isolated now with just our three main leads here now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and there's going to be some more flashbacks, I feel like. There's still going to be obviously some flashbacks because we're going to see what happened, but yeah, that's the plan. So,
whew.
What else? Anything else on that?
I don't think so. I think we covered the whole gambit.
Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to it more, but I think that's really our thoughts and feelings about it, and I think we're both excited to see where this goes because I think it's still a lot to. There's still, I will tell you, even though we know who's behind the mask. There is still a lot of mystery left.
So much. And I feel like at the end of every episode, there's even more mystery added on.
Agreed.
It's like, how is
Yes.
this all going to tie up? We only got 3 episodes left.
Yes. All right, so let's see what you guys thought real quick about 4 and 5 based on our reactions.
Yes.
On your reaction video here. Let's see. You said, or was there any comments on that one? Nope, sorry.
Probably not, because I sent it to you yesterday.
Well,
or
no,
2 days
it's
ago.
right. No, more on, it was on 5.
Okay.
So Thrawn says, many unexpected things happened in this episode, was in total shock multiple times. Will not spoil for now, but the one thing I did guess, as David did as well, was revealed, which was no shocker. Love the action on the episode and could done with more of this in the first 4 episodes.
Yes.
Can't wait for yours and David's review. Agreed. Brandon says, I think Master Soul is going to go off the deep end because he just watched several more Jedi he was responsible for die.
Mm-hmm.
If I could choose one person to learn from about the Force or anything lightsaber related, who would it be? Legends included from the last episode. I would want to learn from Revan, so I can learn from someone who has dealt with both sides of the Force. I would learn about the dark side without falling to it. He was also a great with the lightsaber. Good pick.
Good pick.
Darth S&M says, so many deaths. It was Red Wedding episode almost, and the reveal. Did not expect to get that already, but it does what this show has been doing, which I love. Answered questions, but then made more questions. Now, who is the master? He said Sith, so that is finalized. What an episode. Mm-hmm. He said Sith, but I don't know if it's totally finalized yet.
Question mark.
Yes, question mark. Draconis Rex says, did you notice Master Saul asking Chimere, why did you risk being discovered? I suspect
that was an interesting question.
Right, and he says, I suspect Chimere is not the Sith. He says this, Vernestra and Saul, master and apprentice?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know about Vernestra. That's a tough one to think about.
Maybe.
Brandon says, spoilers ahead. How did Chimere get his stuff and get it so? How did he get to the ship, get to the Sith master attire on, and then go to Kalnaka's place and kill him rather swiftly and prepare an ambush for the Jedi so quickly? He did have a big backpack, which could fit his costume in, for sure.
And he also separated for a good chunk of time.
Yep. I think he had his costume with him for sure. And his saber.
And he did give the line, oh yeah, I've been here before. And we saw Kalnaka, but we didn't necessarily see Kalnaka alive when they landed on the planet.
Right.
So, and we don't know how long it takes for a Wookiee's body to decompose.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just saying it could be on his first way out, and when he found out where this guy lived, he's like, I'll just kill him now.
True.
Because it could be Kalnaka saw him, and he has the rule of, if you see my face, you're dead. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he definitely had time. Let's see. On my reaction video, Thrawn says, just posting some same comments I left on Mandalore podcast on my thoughts on episode 5. It's not surprising for me. This was the best episode so far. Leslie Headland said this was also her favorite episode of the series, so slightly concerned this is the best we are going to get. All the lightsaber duels and fights are some of the best we have since the prequel trilogy, in my opinion. I love the lightsabers sorting out constantly throughout, which has been in EU and in Thrawn Alliance books, so great to see that in live action. Very well choreographed and very inventive with all the deaths. Was so shocked to see Yord and Jackie die, but did make the episode better, as the episode shows there are real stakes in this series and gives the feeling no one is safe. Unlike other Disney series where everyone survives deaths and lightsaber wounds. Yeah, the Khmer reveal was very unexpected, but I feel he stole the episode with his performance and loved all his dialogue and fight scenes throughout. I quite like the theory that he is the first Knight of Ren, which would make sense due to his mask. I do hope he is not that overall bad guy in the series reveals his master. I did think Khmer getting carried off by the flying bugs was a little cheesy, but could have bought it into more as if they showed in the previous episode the bugs being more threatening. I did struggle with May and Osha in this episode. They just spend this episode running away, and I still don't like the acting. Still don't think the acting is very strong, and it's bad that they are the main characters, and I care about them the least. I also didn't like the Parent Trap ending, and didn't see how Saul was fooled by that, and would have thought he would have sensed it. Overall, though, great episode, and want to see more Sith and Jedi battles going forward. Looking forward to yours and Hannah's review. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to call it, the Parent Trap. And it's not like I don't know if I like it or not. I just got to understand why, because that
Yeah.
like we don't know what her logic is behind that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that. Darth S&M says, Dave, you, Thrawn, Dave, he says, Dave, you, Thrawn Attic, and I share the same thoughts on this episode. The lightsaber choreography was so swoosh, swip, streaming awesome. It was good to finally get some good dark side action. Agree that I am not 100% sure he is actually a Sith. Is it possible he does have a red blade, but a true Sith needs no lightsaber? Happy we got to see Cortosis in live action. That was long overdue. The show feels like they got some Game of Thrones writers working for them, doesn't it? The Jedi are dropping like flies. Their rules only hold them back. Go dark side. Nice. And then Brandon says, hope you feel better, Dave. Thank you, sir. I love that they brought the dark side versions of Form 7 lightsaber combat style. Even though this was my favorite episode, my interest in the show is fading. I'm a person that loves filler episodes, but these 5 episodes so far have felt like filler episodes. I'm going to continue to watch so I can be proven wrong. I also liked that brought Cortosis as another lightsaber bane. I think Khmer and May were the acolytes, and it was the strongest survives, and who wanted it more. I'm wondering how they are going to explain the switcheroo with May and Osha.
Yep. And I do have to say, I agree with you with the whole filler thing, but I do agree with you. To me, it did feel like filler all the way up to the last episode. But I think it's also because they're trying to set up so much. They're trying to set up a new world. I feel like season 1 of this is just meant to be a setup season.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
That's, and I just thought of something that could be another option as to what happened. It's pretty clear, based on what May has said as well, that the stranger is very good at getting into the minds of other people. Soul's the same.
Mm-hmm.
So what if what Osha thought happened didn't happen? But what if what May thought happened didn't happen either? What if he purposely planted in her mind an even worse scenario that she believes to be true? Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. But I do think that, in my opinion, I hope they don't basically, almost in a sense, retcon the whole episode. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, what we got, I hope is true. I just hope we fill in the gaps of the stuff we missed, and there was even somebody that mentioned online that said something like, they have a theory that what we even saw in episode 5 with all the deaths didn't happen. And like, was it a mind thing or something like that from somebody's point of view? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that this show is trying to take some risks, and I think I think they're all dead. I think they're all dead.
Yeah, I think they're all dead.
Yeah, fortunately they're all gone. And honestly, it makes sense because there's still this theory there's still this canon thought that the Jedi think the Sith have been extinct when we get to episode 1. Like, they have not seen any real evidence of the Sith. Just because they see a person with a red lightsaber doesn't necessarily make them Sith.
No, it doesn't.
So I think that's okay that they encounter these dark warriors. Mm-hmm. I think that's bound to happen. I got to believe that this isn't the first time in 900 years that they've seen one, right? So
heck, they've been dealing with these covens for a while too.
Correct.
So they know that there are other force wielders out there. So no, I agree with you.
Exactly. Okay, I have kept Hannah up way too long, so she's got to get to sleep. So, everybody, thank you everybody for hanging with us. We did kind of go off topic a little bit today with my trip, and of course talking about
it was Star Wars trivia.
Yeah, well, yeah. And we talked a little bit about just our feelings about our show and what we stand for and things like that here. So hopefully you guys appreciate what we're trying to do, and I really love our patrons and what they're helping us with and supporting us with, and so I feel like we're doing some good stuff, and it just keeps wanting me to do more, and I'm wanting to do more for you all. So
yeah,
so more to come, and we need one thing we do need to do is we need to talk about Rogue One. So
yes.
I'll text Hannah over the next few days, and we'll try to line up something.
We got
let you all know, get you patrons involved on that, and then let us know what you think about some trivia time. That'd be fun.
That'd be fun. And what are your trivia questions?
That's right. Some good trivia questions I'm sure we can get out there.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody. Looking forward to talking about episode 6 of the Acolyte next week as we come to a close here in just 3 more episodes. So, all right. Take care. Thank you, Hannah. Get some sleep.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. You as well.
Yeah, I know. I'm still recovering a little bit. Got to get over my sickness a little bit too. So, all right. Thanks everybody. We really do appreciate it. Inside the Force, of course, on YouTube for our additional shows, and then we've got all over the podcast feeds to subscribe and let us know how you feel about us. Take care. We'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.